Hello friends! I am in the midst of an outline-a-thon. I think this is going to be a really fun way to end the year, but I also think it would be a phenomenal way to start the year. Now, this was inspired by Elaine, who said she was doing an outline-a-thon, and I was like, tell me more. I had never heard of this before, and the basic concept that Elaine shared and I'm taking away from it is just spending some time outlining your projects, taking the ones that have been in your head the longest, putting them onto the page, and deciding from that which ones you want to write next. So I have a to be written list. Sometimes this is just like a one-off sentence premise. It's not really a plot, it's not really a story, it's just like the vague concept of an idea. Other times it's a character. It's also especially when I've had some time to percolate over it, but not enough time yet to create its own Scrivener document. Either because I don't yet have enough information on the story, or because I don't have the time to dedicate to it, right? So in this big to-be-written Scrivener document lives a whole bunch of half-baked ideas, and that is what I turn to first. Now, part of the reason I'm doing this is because I am in the midst still of my 100k Q4 challenge. I had finished the draft of Under the Influence, the thriller story that I was working on, but unfortunately just ran out of words. I finished with 70 something K, so I have been outlining ever since, and as of this morning I am at like 80,000 words. So I'm outlining all of the words of my outline-a-thon toward the end of my 100k Q4. And actually I'm wearing the perfect shirt for this because I feel quite like these guys right now, okay? This is me with a week of December left, and this is the 100k Q4. And yet I genuinely feel like I could do it. And it's because of the outline-a-thon. Now, this has also helped to illuminate kind of how I outline more and more. I've been starting with the idea, and then it's really just like bombarding myself with questions, really interrogating the idea. And I have been working on things that I knew more about. So like, let's say today I'm going to be working on A Basement Brimming with Bodies, which is the second book following A Closet Full of Cauldrons. This cozy paranormal mystery, right? It follows our main character, Eva Greenwood, a paranormal professional organizer. And I had the idea that I really wanted her to do a sort of haunted house themed thing as we lead up to Halloween in where she's living. So yeah, that was the concept of the idea, and I actually came up with the title first, and then I was like, okay, so I know from the title that there needs to be bodies in a basement. And I had not explored a whole lot more than that. And so I have had just an absolute blast the past couple of days poking at that idea, stretching that idea, making it more. Some questions are kind of natural because it's the second book in the series we're picking up not too long after the first book ends. And so it's kind of like, okay, well, how's Eva feeling? You know, what might she be doing at the start of the book? What do I want her to like attempt to conquer this book? And, you know, just character questions. I also had people that I introduced. A big part of a cozy is that you really get to love the town and its people. So then I'm asking, okay, well, what are the town and its people doing this time? And where would that align with Eva and this lead up to human Halloween and like her kind of Samhain thing, right? So then I'm, you know, we're digging. And then personally, in A Closet Full of Cauldrons, I kind of went away from the cozy mystery norms of when a murder has happened or is found, and I wanted to be slightly more traditional this time in the second book. So you can see how I'm sort of starting to set some parameters, making some headway on things, right? And that got me about 2,500 words of what I'm calling brainstorming. And now I am putting these brainstorming words is part of my outline-a-thon because it's like it's part of the process. This question, answer, strike that, new answer, another question, like building off of it. So for the outline-a-thon, I've already completed one cozy mystery that is completely separate from A Closet Full of Cauldrons, though I am trying to see how I could potentially tie it into the universe. And then now I'm working on A Basement Brimming with Bodies. This morning, I managed to accomplish about through almost to the midway point. I'm really in this fun and games section of taking the 2,500 words of brainstorming and putting them into a more coherent like outline that might look like this, okay? Something that you might find in Save the Cat. I even started a new Scrivener document this morning, which is very exciting because a basement brimming with bodies. Let me start with this. Because a basement brimming with bodies, I do think is going to be one of the first projects that I work on in 2025, which is very exciting. So it got a new Scrivener document. The other one I worked on has not gotten its Scrivener document yet. There's a couple things I still need to sort out, like what do I want the title to be? Like there's some things. And oh, as part of this outline-a-thon, what I'd also like to do is have like quick elevator pitches and a vague synopsis or query type thing. Not exactly a query, not exactly a synopsis, not exactly like the back cover of a book, but like something that I could easily write up. And I'm attempting my best to sort of stick with that because I have just realized about myself that if I do it now in this outlining stage, it is infinitely easier than after I've written the book and then trying to condense it. Just not good at that. So if I can do it now, if I can get all of the more like marketing materials sorted in this early outline stage, I'm just making life easier for myself. So anyways, on the stream this morning, I managed to get just shy of 3,000 words, almost to the midway point, but I did stop in part because the fun and game section is, it's very fun, but it can be kind of difficult to plot out for me when I haven't started drafting yet. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to pivot this afternoon. We're going to work backwards in the outline because I do know where I want it to end. A big part of mysteries is figuring out who done it. So I had a lot of questions there because it's a haunted house. Because a haunted house was the inspiration. I also wanted to play around with some interpersonal family aspects in a strange mirror to how Eva's working through some of her own family stuff that she experienced from the first book. So the fun part now is highlighting the clues, and I think that will be easier to do if I'm working backwards. I already came up with an extra clue that I didn't have from my brainstorming notes when I put it into the outline, and that is why I think this is a two-part process that needs to be recognized. Questioning, and then in theory, the outline should have all the answers. Yes, which by the way, the questioning stage is like almost incoherent to anyone else but me. I am moving things around. I am thinking one thing over here and another thing. It reminds me very much of when I used to draw out my outlines, when I used to do it all by hand in the early stages, and I would just have big circles and lines and everything. The brainstorming has not really changed. I just now move it to an outlining stage before I start zero drafting. Okay, with that said, I've already wasted far too much time because there is a countdown happening. I feel it ticking away. There are 8 days left of the year, and I'm excited to see what comes next in the outline-a-thon. But we're not there yet. We're not there yet. Let's stick with a basement brimming with bodies and get the Scrivener doc done. Okay, so as you can see a little bit more about what I'm talking about. So here's the brainstorming where I was like, oh, here's some ideas for what the mystery is. And then I'm like, oh, I should look up natural poisons. And then more questions to myself. And you can see that there is like a, in theory, this would be like an arrow elsewhere, you know? Comment to myself later, they could be trolls. Anyways, and then I took this brainstorming, so I've split my Scrivener in half. This is in the new document. I've split it in half, I've used this, and now I'm working through basically just putting in where I think the ends of certain chapters would be. So you can see it has already surpassed in word count the previous brainstorming notes. Did I say 2,500 earlier? Anyways, 2,000, almost 3,000. Yes. So this is a note to myself, and when I realized I need to like take a little bit of a pause, I have some clues over to the side, take a bit of a pause and work backwards. So I will go ahead and for now leave off what I think the individual chapters in the end of it will be, but I'm hoping that by the end of today I'll have kind of converged into the midpoint and I can add some more stuff to the fun and games elements. Eva is helping to organize this haunted house that she's been hired for. And then on the human side of the border, she's helping to construct a haunted house in the human library. So I love I just think it's fun. You know, the haunted house is more of an inspiration over here, but like, anyways. I like seeing the two converge more, which is the goal for this book, is the magical world and the human world more intermixed for Eva this time. So fun. Sustenance. All right, I have actually now managed to work my way up to the midpoint, which is awesome. I think I have the fun and games done. Yesterday I ended the day with about 3,500 words that I'd added to my outline. Let's see actually. Yeah, that's about 3,500 because I didn't do anything on the weekend. And I was going to go ahead and be working backwards, but in doing that, there's something about how as you start working backwards from the outline, when you're imagining like the finale and everything, that it automatically has questions that then helps prompt me for even the fun and games section. So I was able to go back and I think close off the fun and games and get the midpoint, which gives me to the end of chapter 12, which I think will be pretty awesome. That's not too far off from when I did the first book, A Closet Full of Cauldrons. So I'm going to try and get through maybe the bad guys close in section today. Yesterday, I ended up spending most of the time at the end of the evening trying to make a Charlotte Russe cake, which I think we might go test out here almost right now. Almost right after this. And today's goal is to make some tiramisu to bring to my mother-in-law's house tomorrow. We got the aunties coming over, we got my brother and his wife coming over. I'm so excited for it. It's gonna be so much fun. So tiramisu, and then I'd like to get a couple more little crochet goodies completed before it's done. So the goal for the day is set. Also cleaning would be nice. I'd love to start the new year with a completely like clean slate. As you can see, I still have stuff from when I did my bookshelf reorg. But you know what? I'm getting there. I feel pretty confident. It might be a very mad dash at the end here to get going, but this outline-a-thon I'm finding is really, really fun. It's just really nice. I have found that at the end of the day, I feel exhausted, but in a great way. I think because it's just a lot of energy to think up all the questions and really work your way through the stories, even though some of these are ideas I've had the, you know, origins of for a while. Really digging in enough to make it an outline is just woof. But it's so fun. It's so fun. I think you're at the point in an outline where there's still just like so much possibility left. You know, you haven't put the words on the page yet, so everything feels very perfect in some ways. And the way I outline, I still have just enough wiggle room to come up with something incredible, hopefully, during the zero drafting first draft process. So, okay, let's go check out this cake. Hi, boy. I'm hoping it is set. So pretty. Oh no. Oh no, it's splitting. Uh-oh. No. No. I feel like I didn't think this through. Not a soggy bottom. No. Not bad though. Okay, I feel like so good. I think the biggest revelation was that I figured out what I wanted one of the poisons to be. I did realize it's really funny, whereas in the first book, Closet Full of Cauldrons, there's a curse, there's potions, like there's a little bit more magic involved. Whereas in this book, Eva is trying to lean into the human side. And so even though she's working on this actual haunted house, this magical side of the border and everything, the murder itself is also leaning more human slightly, although it's a family of trolls. But whereas what I already have in mind for the third book, we're going to lean much fuller into the magical side. So it's just kind of a fun, you know, anyways, very cute. So excited. Ooh, I have everything, but I still need to work on this little bad guys close in section. Right now it's much more bullet pointy, but I have all the rest of it ready to go, so woohoo! Now to go make a shit ton of espresso so I can make my tiramisu. I need 1 3/4 cups of espresso, so this is going to be a process.
It's true, because you don't have any with love. Thank you. Raw passion and raw skill.
All right, before I use up the egg whites and bonus egg yolk that I messed up on as an omelet later, we're gonna go ahead and try and finish this section. The bad guys close in. I have some bullet points, but what I think I'm gonna do first is reread through what I have so far, and then see if that like brings up any additional questions or potential other bullet points, scene ideas, and just knock this out. You can see I already have this section here. I actually should put this in a different color. The clue! And then I went through and already segmented out where I think the end of the chapters will be, and I just haven't put the numbers yet, so let's do it. Oh my gosh, yay. Okay, so 25 chapters, and the midpoint is at the end of chapter 12. I was telling my partner something I've been trying to work on is not having the back half of the story feel as rushed. This feels really good. This outline is done. I'm sure it'll get expanded and everything when I actually start to write it, but I feel like I could start writing it, which is awesome. That's kind of the place that I want all of these outlines of my outline-a-thon to be, and then I can just pick and choose what I actually want to work on next year. 5,988. I don't remember how many words I started with, but look at that. 2518 for today. The real question is, which project do I want to work on and outline tomorrow? I have, of the to be written list, so many to choose from, but that is indeed a tomorrow problem. I know. Yeah. And it's a good day when cheese is involved. Oh, thank you. Can I cheers you? We did it. Hello, good morning from my mother-in-law's house on Saturday, December 28th at 8:18 a.m. After a whirlwind of fun over the holidays, I now have 4 days to buckle down and attempt to get this 100K. I finished the outline for A Basement Burning with Bodies. I am saving the end of the chapters and setting it up in my Scrivener document as like a little reward for the end of the 100K Q4. But now it is time to go back to the to be written list and select the next one that I want to work on. So many possibilities. Oh, I'm here because I'm taking care of her cat, Banjo, while she's gone for another day or so. In terms of farthest along, I have this idea inspired by the song I Shot the Sheriff that I have a vague brain dump session I've done, and then I'm actually handwriting the first draft of The Bejeweled. This is a like vaguely futuristic mystery, maybe dystopian mystery. This is like a romantasy. And then I was thinking of this one's Best Friend. I did a brain dump session, and it's actually a YA fantasy with a little bit of romance. It's the first YA idea I've had since Project Death. I think for a while I was like, just don't even want to deal with YA. So that one would be quite fun to work on too. I had a fun brain dumping session there. It's like a very silly idea, but I think it would be really fun to write. So those are 3 good options and would get me definitely past the 100K, I think. I'll save the Bejeweled one for last, or maybe you do a different one, because I was kind of hoping to be done with my handwritten 0 draft before I actually started on the outline. And I think I want a slight break from planning mysteries, so I think I'm actually going to do that little YA fantasy romance one. Hooray. You can see right now I have about 270 words in it. Just not a lot. So the story was inspired a little bit because there was a concept in Project Death that just, it didn't ultimately work. It took me a while to see it, but I liked this idea of one of the characters and their best friend kind of falling for each other as kids, kind of like a first love. And then that love kind of growing into a deep respect for each other, but it's not the same kind of love that they want or need when they're older. And so they're kind of like parting ways but don't know how, and it's just like a weird thing because they do still love each other, but they're not like in love with each other. And so that's a concept I want to play with. And then I had this Cheetah Girl song where from the first movie, Cinderella. Apparently I never encoded the lyrics correctly, because instead of I can slay my own dragons, I always thought it was I can save my own dragons, and it quite literally was not until November 2024, when the song was stuck in my head, that I was like, oh, I would love to write one where it is saving the dragons instead of slaying the dragons. A very typical move, a potential move, but that's kind of, I want to play with that. I have a couple things I just want to play with that I just think will be fun. I love a competition aspect, so like I have to have that in there too. All of my favorite things, just stuff I want to play with, which I think is the way to do it, really. I also just got an idea for what I want the like back 20% to be, which is usually where I struggle with. So I think that'll be nice for the kind of like final bit of conflict as it comes to a peak. Okay, nearly doubled in size. I'm currently trying to lull Banjo out from under the bed. We did treats, which he does eat off of your finger. And I have a couple of different toys, which he kind of bats away. But for the most part, he's just kind of staying under there. But he's cute. My partner did help me come up with a few ideas for the trials, and kind of expanded on some of the ideas that I had, but also affirmed in the like fun way I'm trying to play off of some of these typical tropes that it totally works. I'm leaning a little bit absurdist with this, but like not too much. I think it's just gonna be fun. It's really my goal, just fun to write. Look at him. I think I just have the stuff to add from when my partner and I were talking on our walk, and then I can break it out into, again, more of the stereotypical save the cat idea. So on the stream, I managed to get the main characters. There's gonna be like kind of 4 of them, or 2 main characters and like 2 love interests. I managed to get their motivation, but also like the deep hurt that I need to tap into throughout the book, and kind of what they'll eventually heal. So, okay, trials. Buffy is jealous of my leftovers. All right, on the Patreon stream for our first sprint, I just got back from Mama Bao's house and actually got to pet Banjo. I'm trying something new today that my patrons and I have been chatting about. It's gonna be a truffle cappuccino. I didn't get much more writing done, or any more writing done, but I did. Finally clean this. So I'm counting it as a success. Tomorrow me will not be excited about it, but that's her problem, you know? All right, 5,096 for the day. I am so tired. Oof, good night. All right, it is day 31 of December. This is the 31st day of December. Why am I saying it like this? It's the last day of 2024 and my final stream of 2024. I am over doing stuff with Patreon, and I think I just finished this ginormous outline. It's the 3rd outline that I've done. JC has spotted the vlog. But I still need... How many words do I need? I still need 3,225 words for the 100K. Look at this. So now it's time to decide, what outline am I gonna do next? It's my final day of outlining, which is very exciting. What do I do? What do I do? I think I'm going to have to spend the next sprint maybe just brainstorming a little bit. Maybe not even getting to the outlining stage of the next one, just brainstorming. All right, it's second sprint time. Do you like how I put them to work and then I vlog? It's a 19-minute sprint. I have figured out which one I want to work on next. I cannot believe for this outline-a-thon I have completed 2 cozy mysteries. I completed this YA fantasy, which I again haven't wanted to work on YA fantasy in so long, so it's kind of nice. It's funny and silly and I'm excited for it. It's ridiculous, frankly, but I think it'll be really fun whenever I end up getting to actually write it. And then what I've decided to do now is I'm gonna go back to mystery. That was inspired by the song I Shot the Sheriff. So if you know the song, you know part of what's gonna happen. I shot the sheriff, but I didn't shoot the deputy. So I have some ideas. I actually have this arguably is the one that I had the most notes about, or I'm gonna have the most notes about going into things. I have 556 words of brainstorming, but I'm going to try and refresh some things, brainstorm a lot more, and if I had to guess, I won't actually get to the outlining portion of this. I will only be brainstorming, but we'll see. I'm so close, so close. And I only have one person left that I need to figure out as a red herring. So I think this is coming together. Very fun to figure out who would be in the saloon in this closed door mystery, locked room mystery. Why did I just get that wrong? It doesn't matter. So there's one person left. I want them to have a backstory and be connected in a way that's enough to make you think that they could be involved, but then they're not actually involved in the death of the sheriff or the deputy. So I did it. I did it. It wasn't quite to the new year, but you did it. Done, done, done. The goal is done. I achieved. Oh, that